Alright guys, so we're going to do the 50th Disney Real Long Storybook episode titled Ralph Breaks the Internet and narrated by Phil Johnston. Let's read what happens when Ralph and Vanellope discover a Wi-Fi router in their arcade.
This is the story of outcasts turned best friends Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope von Schweetz, leaving the arcade behind and venturing into the vast universe of the Internet, which may or may not survive Ralph's not-so-light touch. You can read along with me in your book. You will know it is time to turn the page when you hear this sound. Let's begin now. Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope von Schweetz were best friends. Ralph was the bad guy in the popular game Fix-It Felix Jr. And Vanellope was the best racer in Sugar Rush. After work, they would meet in Game Central Station and goof around until the sun came up, playing games like I Spy. Just as they were about to head back to work one day, they heard something.
That's a plug-in alert. Litwack hasn't plugged in a new game in forever. Let's go see what it is.
They watched as the game's sign lit up. Wi-Fi. It wasn't a game at all. Vanellope was disappointed it wasn't a new racing game. She wanted some new and different tracks. As they parted, Ralph had an idea. For Vanellope's next race, Ralph made her an off-road track inside Sugar Rush, filled with dangerous jumps and candy cane tree obstacles. As usual, Vanellope was winning the race until the girl playing the game accidentally yanked too hard on the steering wheel, and it snapped right off. Mr. Litwack found a replacement steering wheel on a website called eBay, but he couldn't afford it. Mr. Litwack didn't have a choice. He'd have to retire Sugar Rush. Ralph's eyes went wide.
Litwack's gonna unplug the game. Go! Go! Run! 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 Run!
Mr. Litwack reached for the plug, and a stampede of Sugar Rush residents raced into Game Central Station. Feeling low, Vanellope went home with Ralph. She wondered what she would do all day without her game. Ralph tried to cheer her up.
You sleep in, you do no work? I've literally just described paradise.
Vanellope didn't want to hurt his feelings, but that didn't sound like enough. She loved racing.
I think maybe I just need to be alone right now.
Ralph watched as Vanellope sadly walked away. Later that evening, Ralph came up with a plan. He rushed off to find Vanellope.
We're going to the Internet!
Ralph had it all figured out.
We go there, get the steering wheel, we have it delivered to Litwack before Friday, he'll fix your game, everything goes back to the way it was. Boom! Happily ever after.
Vanellope loved the idea. Inside the Wi-Fi router, capsules formed around Vanellope and Ralph.
Whoa! Cool! Mood lighting!
But Ralph barely fit in his capsule.
I can't breathe! I don't fit!
The friends blasted at lightning speed through the twists and turns of the cables. It was a wild ride, and Vanellope loved every thrilling second.
Ralph, isn't this great?
No, it is not!
The capsules eventually released them at an internet homepage.
Sweet mother of monkey milk!
Vanellope dragged Ralph to an overlook where they gazed in wonder at the sprawling superhighways connecting all the websites.
Whoa. Kid, I don't think we're in Litwack's anymore.
Ralph was worried. He had no idea how they'd ever find the place called eBay. Luckily, Nosemore had the answer. In fact, he had every answer. Vanellope walked up to the search bar and said,
eBay Sugar Rush steering wheel.
In milliseconds, they were whisked away into the information superhighway. Pop-up messages appeared all around them as they arrived at a big warehouse called eBay. Crowds of auctioneers barked, and users bid on various items.
Are you understanding how this game works?
I think all you have to do is, like, yell out the biggest number and then you win this stuff.
Vanellope spotted the steering wheel.
Oh, someone else is trying to win it. Come on, hurry, let's go!
They rushed to the booth and began shouting out numbers.
1,000!
The other bidder dropped out, but Vanellope and Ralph continued.
17!
18!
20!
The auction ended. They had won. But they had no way to pay for the steering wheel. If they didn't come up with $27,001 in 24 hours, they'd lose the bid. Back in the internet, the two friends were again bombarded with pop-up ads.
Can you please tell us how to get rich playing video games?
A fellow named Spamley was happy to help.
You bet!
They searched through items they could collect inside games for money.
Is $40,000 lucrative enough for you?
It's more than enough.
Spamley told them all they had to do was bring him Shank's car from a dangerous game called Slaughter Race.
This kid's the best racer in the whole world. We'll get you that car, no problemo.
Together, Vanellope and Ralph headed off to the game. Slaughter Race made Ralph nervous, but Vanellope loved it.
This game is cool.
She had Ralph wear a disguise and approach Shank and her crew.
I'm here from the Department of Noise.
While he distracted them, Vanellope climbed inside Shank's car. She hit the gas, picked up Ralph, and sped away. But Shank raced after them.
I believe you have something of mine.
Yeah, come and get it.
Shank was impressed by Vanellope's skills.
This girl can drive.
Vanellope tried her best, racing off the track, and even making her way through a bunch of burning buses. But eventually, Shank cornered them.
You guys really thought you could just steal my car?
Ralph tried to explain. He told Shank they needed her car so they could earn enough money to save Vanellope's racing game. Surprisingly, Shank wanted to help, but she still wasn't willing to hand over her car.
Pyro, hit Big Boy with a blow and go.
Pyro pointed a leaf blower at Ralph's face and turned it on while another member of Shank's crew recorded it on video.
Say something. First thing that comes to your mind.
I'm gonna wreck it!
Vanellope and Ralph didn't understand.
What the heck did you do that for?
Shank explained that her friend, Yes, could help them make money by putting crazy videos like that on the internet.
Wow, that's really nice of you.
If you ever want to come back for a rematch, I'd be happy to kick your butt again.
Vanellope beamed and watched in awe as Shank hopped in her car and took off. She was completely captivated by Slaughter Race. It was so much more exciting than Sugar Rush. When Ralph and Vanellope exited the game, they went to meet with Yes. She ran the insanely popular video sharing site BuzzTube. She edited Ralph's video and posted it on her website.
I predict this video is going to be huge. I can see the headline now. Ralph breaks the internet.
Seconds later, Ralph's face was all over the internet. Yes explained that hearts meant money, and Ralph's video was getting a ton of hearts.
We're totally gonna save your game, kid!
Yes told them that if they acted fast, maybe they could pay for the Sugar Rush steering wheel before their bid expired. Ralph and Yes started making more videos, and once they had enough, Vanellope went off to spread the word throughout the internet. Ralph loved seeing the hearts multiply. The plan was working, and he felt great. But when Ralph stumbled upon the user comments, he realized that people weren't giving him hearts because they liked him. They were laughing at him. But love him or hate him, the latest video was a hit. He had made enough to buy the steering wheel for Sugar Rush. With barely any time left before their bid expired, they had the money they needed. Ralph rushed off to eBay. When Ralph called Vanellope with the good news, she was hanging out with Shank. Without knowing it, Vanellope accidentally answered the phone, but she didn't realize Ralph was on the line. He listened in as Vanellope told Shank that she wanted to stay in Slaughter Race.
The second I walked into this game, it felt like home.
There's no law saying best friends have to have the same dreams.
Vanellope sighed.
I can't go home. I just can't.
Ralph couldn't believe it. He hung up, feeling awful and wondering what to do. Ralph worried that he'd lose his best friend if she stayed. He told Spamley what had happened.
What you do is you make it so she don't want to stay there no more. So she can't stay.
So Spamley introduced Ralph to his friend, Double Dan, who made a virus that would slow down Slaughter Race. He put the virus in a card, and Ralph hid it in Vanellope's car. Vanellope was about to start her first race inside Slaughter Race when she noticed the card. She opened it, but she didn't see the virus crawl out. It detected Vanellope's glitch as an insecurity and began to multiply. Soon, the whole game was glitching, and it began to crumble.
Oh, no!
Ralph ran in to rescue Vanellope as buildings collapsed around him. He had no idea that the virus was now scanning him. Insecurity detected. Vanellope blamed herself for everything that had happened in Slaughter Race. Ralph soon confessed that after he overheard her conversation with Shank, he had sent the virus into Slaughter Race. Vanellope was furious. She threw Ralph's hero medal to the ground, breaking it. As Ralph went to pick up his broken medal, he looked up to see the virus attacking the whole internet. Thousands of Ralph clones were taking over. Then the website started to crash. Ralph and Vanellope quickly ran to safety and tried to come up with a plan. Fast. Double Dan and Spamley created a weapon that shot security patches. Every clone that was hit with a patch faded away, but there were too many of them, and they all wanted Vanellope. Ralph realized the clones were trying to get to Vanellope because of him. The virus and clones grew because Ralph was afraid of losing his best friend. So Ralph hatched a plan to use Vanellope as bait to lure the clones into Slaughter Race. Everyone sprang into action. Shank armed the players with the patches as Vanellope stood on the roof of Yes's limousine, calling out to the clones. Hundreds of them began to follow her. But the clones formed a giant wave, causing the limo to crash. The clones scrambled together, forming something even worse, a massive Ralph. The gigantic Ralph grabbed Vanellope in his giant fist and took off. Ralph jumped after them.
Hey! Get back here! You put her down!
But the giant Ralph climbed to the top of the tallest skyscraper. Ralph tried to save Vanellope, but he was caught too.
Stop it! You're gonna kill my best friend!
Vanellope turned to the real Ralph.
Because no matter where I live and no matter where I go, I'm always gonna be your best friend. Always. And that's never gonna change.
As Ralph's fear of losing his best friend faded, so did the massive Ralph. Soon, all the clones disappeared. The internet had been saved. Ralph sat with Vanellope outside Slaughter Race. The game was about to go back online, and it was almost time for her to go.
Shank added my code and everything, so I'll be able to regenerate. I'm gonna be totally safe.
Even though Ralph didn't want to say goodbye, he was genuinely happy for her.
It's gonna be great. You found your dream game. Oh, before you go, I wanted to give you this.
He handed Vanellope half of his broken hero medal.
Oh, so sorry I broke it, Ralph.
Ralph smiled.
Now we can both have a half. See?
Vanellope jumped into his arms and gave him a hug.
I love you so much. I'm really gonna miss you.
I'm gonna miss you too, kid. Come on, get out of here. The world's waiting for you, kid.
Ralph watched, teary-eyed and smiling, as Vanellope headed off to her new home. Back at Litwax, Ralph's internet popularity helped keep the arcade busy, and people lined up to play Fix-It Felix Jr. And even though Ralph didn't spend every day with Vanellope, they remained the very best of friends, no matter how far apart they were.
Alright then. Okay guys, that's it. Request me what Disney Read Along you want me to do next. Remember, one request at a time please. Also request me what collection video for 2017 through 19 you want me to do next. Like I said, one request at a time. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more videos, won't you?